name is ELIA KAZAN. I am a Greek by blood, a Turk by birth, and an American because my uncle made a journey.
The story of that journey eventually became America, America, a high point in ELIA KAZAN's journey through life, a great director's last great film. Stavros is a classic Kazan protagonist, outsider, opportunist, rebel. A young man trying to transcend his origins, transcend himself. A young man yearning. A young man much like the young ELIA KAZAN.
America! Hey, America! Hey, America!
KAZAN brought a new kind of actor to the movies, brooding and inward, intense and explosive. His movies were different too. They used film's familiar melodramatic conventions to dramatize unfamiliar themes. His actors worked in stories about social problems, social realities, social conflicts. When they explored relationships between men and women, Kazan's films offered a behavioral naturalism and a level of realism that was new to American movies. By 1950, when he adapted his Broadway production of Tennessee Williams' A Streetcar Named Desire for the movies, ELIA KAZAN was the dominant creative force in American theater, and becoming so in American movies. It was a stature no one before or since has achieved, and it was, for him, the culmination of a lifelong dream.
When I left college in 1932, the thing I wanted to be was a film director. How do you get a start as a film director in 1932? There's no such way to do it. Now you can get into TV and one thing and another, but then nothing. So I got a chance to go with the group theater and become an actor.
They were Stanislavskians, psychological realists in the manner of the great Russian director. The group was also an extended family, like-minded theatrically and politically. In the summers in the 30s, they lived together, developing productions communally. The summertime tennis champion acquired a nickname he came to hate, Gadget, or Gadge, because he was the group's all-purpose handyman. KAZAN had a key role in the group's legendary production of Clifford Odets's Waiting for Lefty. The group was passionately committed to left-wing, socially conscious theater. The plays were mostly about working-class people, sometimes realistic, sometimes expressionistic, sometimes poetic. The group permanently shaped KAZAN's style and ideals.
But in the back of my head always was the wish to be a film director. I used to go to films all the time, and I watched them all, and I said, God, that's it, that's life, doing that. I mean, that was adventure. That was something, not just as some friends of yours on the stage yelling at each other, but that was an adventure. You open the world up.
In 1937, KAZAN, along with some other group theater actors, went to Hollywood to make screen tests for producer Walter Wanger.
2900 test, 13.
The actor appearing with him is Alan Marshall.
What are you looking at? Why? Listen, I'm hungry. I mean it. She's not my girl.
No, mine. But she's my responsibility for another day or two. You're my friend. Ergo, she becomes your responsibility.
So she's part my responsibility. That's my part.
Kazan didn't get a job, not immediately anyway, though other group actors like Francho Tone and John Garfield were beginning to make movies.
Everybody in the group was both jealous of you when you made a film, but also every move away from the group into a film world was a betrayal of something that everybody was devoting their full heart and their full time to. I mean, it was a mania, the group theater. That is, no one dared leave the family, say, and go outside. I was just dying to get into films. When I got a chance, I acted in a couple of films.
There's no use stripping those labels, Hap. They got us mug and prints down pat anyhow. Okay, boys. Oh, that reminds me, I better ditch this too. And Hap, when they fish him up, all we gotta say is he didn't have to go swimming with his hat on.
Hey, that's a good one, boss.
Okay, now. Hey!
Hey, boss, what happened?
Hey, Hap.
Oh, gee, never figured on that at all.
Not what you call a first-class actor, but I did all right. I was very intense, and I learned a lot that way. Also, I got to be not afraid of actors, and not confident. I was confident with them, and they weren't foreign people to me.
Kazan had begun directing group theater productions as early as 1936. He moved on to commercial Broadway in 1942. Some of these plays were great hits. He did his first and last musical in 1943. Kazan felt he was still learning his craft, and he still wanted to direct movies.
All right, here she goes.
He finally got his chance in 1943 with A Tree Grows in Brooklyn.
Now who wants to try this one? Who's man enough for this big one right here?
Me and my brother, we ain't too small together.
Spunky, huh? All right, but if one of you drop, you're not gonna get the tree.
This is how poor kids used to get their trees when they were thrown away on Christmas Eve.
Well, Howard, Jerusalem, did you ever get...
Look at my face.
Nobody around here ever saw a tree like
Look at
that.
my face if you don't believe
Oh, and
me.
I see you got them all on your side, too.
Isn't this a wonderful Christmas, Papa?
Oh, it is now, prima donna. Imagine us having a tree like that. And the nicest kids in the world, I guess.
If you can get the real thing, it's great. And I got Jimmy Dunn. You know, that's the real thing. You can't beat that because he didn't have to act. He just looked like a guy that had boozed too much, and also was jolly and was lovable. At the same time, he was sort of a mess.
Kazan tempered a sentimental story with a truthful style and wonderfully authentic performances.
He ain't any older than they are.
Every picture that is really successful has one little miracle somewhere in it. And we had ours, Peggy Ann Garner, the girl. She and Jimmy got along well. I mean, she loved Jimmy, and he was like her father. At the same time, there's something about him that was, well, what's the word, unreliable. And that reminds her of her father, too. So it was a wonderful relationship, close to the relationship in the thing.
Oh, I thought you'd be asleep, prima donna.
I've been thinking. I might be going to be a writer. I've just about decided.
I knew you when you was going to be a lady fireman.
Don't joke, Papa. I'm serious.
You better stick out your tongue, prima donna. Oh, it's just like I thought. You got a bad case, a very bad case.
Case of what, Papa?
A very bad case of growing up. That's all it is.
The reason she was so touched by the theme was that her father was flying fighter planes, and she was worried as hell about him, very worried about him. I could just look at this girl and I could see the fright on her face. Well, one day I did a very, very bad thing. I did a terrible thing. One day when she had to cry, I dropped a few words about her father, and I've forgotten how I put it. But she couldn't stop crying for the rest of the day. She cried all morning, all afternoon, all night, and she was crying in the morning.
In the movie, she's weeping for her father who has died, and for her mother, a strong, loving, but bitter woman who is about to give birth to his child. She is played by Dorothy Maguire.
Who'd cry for me like that if I died? I never did a wrong thing in my life, but it ain't enough. Oh, where are you, Francie?
I'm here, Mama.
Oh. You're such a comfort to me. I'm so tired. Leave me sleep now.
It's not a nice thing for a director to do, but, you know, I think finally a film director has to get a shot no matter what he does. We're desperate people, and one way or another, no matter what we have to do, we'll do it, and we'll be sweet and nice afterwards, and I hugged her and kissed her. And
Neely? Am I good looking?
Oh, what's eating you?
No, honest, Neely. I want to know.
You pass.
You're sweet, Neely.
Oh, cut the mush.
it was an area of life that I knew something about, so when I was offered the book, I read the book, and I said, hell, I know this. Tree grows in Brooklyn. I've been there, and I've seen it, and I've been in backyards and so forth, so it got me going on it.
Kazan's next important film never really got him going. Gentleman's Agreement took up an important theme, anti-Semitism, one of the first movies to do so. But in his opinion, it was too dispassionate. It lacked his kind of heat. Gregory Peck played a magazine writer blocked on a series about anti-Semitism until he decides to pretend to be Jewish and experience prejudice firsthand.
It's too damn polite, that film. It's too nice. It doesn't get into the parts of anti-Semitism that persist and hurt.
How do you do, Mr. Green?
How do you do?
In answer to your question, may I inquire, are you, that is, do you follow the Hebrew religion yourself, or is it that you just want to make sure?
I've asked a simple question. I'd like to have a simple answer.
Well, you see, we do have a very high-class clientele, and, well, naturally.
Then you do restrict your guests to Gentiles?
Well, I wouldn't say that, Mr. Green. But in any event, there seems to be some mistake, because we don't have a free room in the entire hotel. But if you'd like, perhaps I can fix you up at the Brewster Hotel down near the station.
I'm not staying at the Brewster. Look, I'm Jewish, and you don't take Jews. That's it, isn't it?
I never said that.
If you don't accept Jews, say so.
Don't raise your voice to me, Mr. Green. You speak a little more quietly, please.
Do you or don't you?
Mr. Green, I'm a very busy man. Now, if you want me to phone for a cab or a room at the Brewster, I'll do so. Otherwise...
It's not my environment that the people in it, so I don't respond to it now.
I hate it, I hate it, I hate everything about this horrible thing. They always make trouble for everybody, even their friends. They force people to take sides against them.
Quit that. They didn't suggest this series. They didn't give me the angle. They haven't got a single thing to do with what's happened between you and me.
Shout at me. I'm not going to marry into hothead shoutings and nerves, and you might as well know it now.
Zanuck had the theory, which I didn't agree with, that every social problem and every human problem can be solved through the mechanics of a love story. And you just get a love story, and people differ on this theme of the movie, and then you heal it up, and they get together, and then everything is all right. Well, excuse me, bullshit. It doesn't work that way.
Maybe the movie didn't work like life. Maybe it didn't work for Kazan. But it did work for everyone else. Darryl Zanuck, the studio boss, was, in his way, right. It was a hit, and won the Oscar for Best Picture of 1947. It also brought ELIA KAZAN his first Academy Award as a director. Meantime, back on Broadway, he directed Arthur Miller's All My Sons. In 1949, he directed Lee J. Cobb's unforgettable performance as Willie Loman in Death of a Salesman. It was Kazan's most famous collaboration with Arthur Miller, and it consolidated Kazan's reputation as the era's great theatrical director. As the sets for Kazan's production of Tennessee Williams' A Streetcar Named Desire began to take shape in 1947, so did a legendary performance by Marlon Brando.
The first time people saw the play, it had the effect of the first time you see something that's out of the blue. They hadn't really seen Brando before, and they'd never seen Williams like this. Williams had a tender, sort of nostalgic memory piece, but all of a sudden they saw the great strength, dramatic strength that was in him, and it overwhelmed people in the theater. When you talked to him then, he was such a simple, like a child. But there was so much violence in him that I knew how violent he was, but Jessica Cronin was very kind and very patient with him, and she soon got to like him and admire him a lot. And Carl Malden was in it. Carl was one of his best friends. And Kim Hunter was in it, and they were close friends. And all of a sudden, I had a family of people that worked in the same way and had the same desire to reveal themselves and to open up. And the production was wonderful.
To critics and public, its greatest wonder was Brando.
I said to Tennessee, I said, this thing is becoming the Marlon Brando show. I said, everybody who's come to see the rehearsals, I said, who is that? And he's going to the Marlon Brando show. I said, your play's not about Marlon Brando or that character, Stanley. It's about this woman. But Tennessee had a crush on Brando. I'm not talking about sex now. I'm talking about person to person. He thought Brando was terrific, and he was very happy, and he supported me in it. But in black moments and dark moments, he'd say, he's great, don't worry about him, he's great.
A few years later, Kazan brought that greatness to the screen.
Hey, is Blanche back yet?
Vivien Leigh replaced Jessica Tandy in the movie.
Yeah, she's back.
All right there, Blanche.
You look like you got under the car.
That jerk mechanic down at Fritz's doesn't know his axle grease from third base.
In essence, the Williams play was about the struggle between the ethereal Blanche and the brutal Stanley for the soul of her sister, Stella.
Hey!
I love when he pulled the drawers open and pulled the clothes out and messed up her trunk and so forth and did all that, because I did enjoy that. But he was ahead of me. He did what I enjoyed.
Stanley! Oh.
Now, will you just open your eyes to this stuff here? Now, I mean, what, has she got this out of teacher's pay? Will you look at these fine feathers and furs, and she comes to bring herself in here? What is this article? That's a solid gold dress, I believe.
Oh, honest.
And this one here. And what is that, fox piece? That's genuine fur fox, a half a mile long. Where are your fox pieces? This is bushy Snow White ones, no less. Where are your white fox furs?
Those are inexpensive summer furs that Blanche has had a long time.
Listen, I have an acquaintance who deals in this sort of merchandise, and he's coming in here and making an appraisal of this.
I think the trick, the wonderful thing about him is the ambivalence again between a soft, yearning, girlish side to him and a dissatisfaction that's violent and can be dangerous.
Now, that's how I'm going to clear the table. Don't you ever talk that way to me. Pig, Polak, disgusting, vulgar, greasy. Those kind of words have been on your tongue, and your sister's tongue is too much around here. Who do you think you are, a pair of queens? Just remember what Huey Long said, that every man's a king, and I'm the king around here. And don't you forget it. My place is all cleared up now. You want me to clear yours?
He challenges not only the woman, Jessica or Vivian, he challenges the whole system of politeness and good nature.
The movie role went to Vivien Leigh because the studio considered her a bigger star than Jessica Tandy.
I like Vivian enormously. I don't think she had a great talent, but she had a great determination. She would do anything to be good. She was tough. It's a tough character. And also, she was very upset in her own personal life, and I think it worked out well.
More than that, it works out shatteringly and tragically.
What did you do that for?
So I could twist a broken end in your face.
But you would do that.
I would. I will if you...
Oh. Have a little rough house, huh? All right, let's have a little rough house. Tiger, rough them.
I like the movie very much.
Tráilers.
And
Visita mi canal.
I liked it on stage a little better.
But Kazan was trying to escape the stage, and stagey movies too. He was after realism of a more documentary kind. As early as 1946, he had ventured into a different kind of filmmaking.
Boomerang meant a lot to me. Boomerang meant this, that I went out with a crew into the middle of a city named Stamford, Connecticut, and we had sometimes as many as 5,000 people watching. The streets were jammed. And we made a film with essentially not big stars, and I caught something in the background, in the life of a city like that. And I enjoyed that a lot. It gave me a lot of confidence. It made me feel I can go anywhere and make a film. And later I did do that. I mean, I think it led up to On the Waterfront, it led up to a number of other films I did where I used the streets of the city with confidence and without any feeling of, oh, I wish I were in the studio.
Boomerang was about a man falsely accused of a priest's murder.
Why don't you turn him loose, Whitey?
Cut it out, fellas. Don't do it. Lay off, you hear?
We'll take good care of him.
No.
You know Father Lambert, Whitey.
I can't do it.
You're not going to let him get away with this.
Get your hands
off.
wait a minute.
Break it up.
You boys aren't acting very smart.
But we're friends of Father Lambert's. And he's not going to get away with this.
I don't think Lambert would have liked it this way.
Suppose we take him.
Quite a few of us are going to get hurt. Want to be first?
You don't have to get tough about it.
The film is based on a true story.
Now, may I have it, please?
Dana Andrews' prosecutor defies public opinion, betraying his own case when he becomes convinced the defendant is innocent.
Mr. Harvey, that's a loaded gun.
I'll be extremely careful, Your Honor. Mr. Whitney, please. In the reenactment of the murder, we found that the murderer had to hold the gun in exactly this position when the shot was fired.
Henry!
Now, Mr. Whitney, will you fire the gun? I must apologize, Your Honor, for the use of theatrics in this presentation. But there's a defect in the firing pin of this gun. It's loose and faulty, making it impossible for the gun to be fired in this position. We tried it 16 times. That was the 17th.
I said, look, I'm only directing something like I would in the theater. I would get people together in a certain place, usually a room, and move them around appropriately and also come to some sort of visual climax, all well and good. I said, you're not a film director, you better go back to theater. Then I said to myself, I'm going to make a film where not one word is really important. I'm going to make it all action.
That film was Panic in the Streets, a thinking person's action movie. Set in New Orleans, it is about a sailor who comes ashore carrying pneumonic plague, infecting his friends. They are sleazy, petty criminals who eventually murder him.
I asked Jack Ford once, I said, where do you get your ideas of how a scene should be directed? And he said, from the set. He said, I go out in the set in the morning, set I've chosen, way before anybody else, an hour before the crew. And I walk around, look at the set, where they come in, where they go out, what there is, what there isn't, so on. And when I thought about it, it's a very important thing. That is, the physical life of the scene is determined by whether the set squeezes people together or whether the set has an escape place in it.
Richard Widmark is the public health service doctor who must apprehend the criminals before they can infect the entire city.
I think you better wait down here.
All right, hold it.
Out of the way, bud. We got a sick man here.
Doctor, I want to take a look at him.
Get our own doctor. Get out of the way.
Isn't his name Poldy? Put him down. I want to see.
Get out of the way!
We were winging it. It wasn't that we said, you didn't say the right word here, or we weren't carrying the book around all the time. We were winging it. Here's the scene where this, and this happens, right? So we make that, and the other happen.
One of the things Kazan made happen was a classic climactic chase. It was a kind of tribute to everything that had once appealed to the young man who had dreamed of someday directing movies.
And I enjoyed the hell out of it because we were in New Orleans, and my wife and I were on good terms then, and my kids were with me, and the whole gang was there, and we all lived together, and all ate the damn food, and all got fat, and all had a very good time. I went all over that damn city, and I shot everywhere in all the streets and all the forbidden places, so to say.
He ain't gone no place.
But Kazan was, to the Mexican countryside. And the story of a revolution being made and eventually unmade.
The great thing I got out of Viva Zapata was for the first time I was out in the country somewhere and free and with no sets and using the environment around me.
All right, bring him down here. Down here.
I tell you what helped that movie a lot was Tony Quinn. He's marvelous in it. Tony suggested things to me. The thing about the rocks, hitting rocks and getting the neighborhood together by that sound was Tony's idea, not mine. I'm not that good. I don't know Mexico that well. Tony gave me that.
Emiliano Zapata was an illiterate peasant, a rebellious spirit, and an honest man, at least as the movie retold his story. It traces his rise from political prisoner to successful revolutionary, ultimately rallying his people to a just cause.
I think Marlon does a terrific performance there of a peasant. What I said to him was, you have to think like a peasant. I said, you're not impressed with anything. You're only concerned about one thing. You don't fall in love with anybody. You use women. You don't have any other interest in life except the hardships that have forced you to take this action. The thing with Brandon was interesting was I'd make these directions, and about halfway through he'd say to himself, oh shit, I know that. And he'd walk away, and I'd say to myself, where's the bastard walking away to? Where's he going? But what it was something good. He'd heard enough, and it got him going. And the thing that he wanted from a director, from me, was to get him going, get the machine going. And once the machine was going, he didn't need a hell of a lot more.
The script was by John Steinbeck, the novelist. Like Kazan, he was a liberal who had become a staunch and outspoken anti-communist. The movie's deepest conflict was between the idealistic Zapata and a Stalinist figure, played by Joseph Weisman. He seeks to corrupt the revolution, shape it to his own tyrannical ends.
Where are you going? I'm going home. So you're throwing it away.
Leave tonight, your enemies will be here tomorrow. In this room at that desk, they won't walk away. They'll hunt you down till you get your arrest in the sun with the flies in your face. Leave now, I promise you, you won't live long.
I won't live long anyway.
Zapata, in the name of all we fought for, don't go.
In the name of all we fought for, I'm going.
I won't go with you.
I don't expect you to. Now I know you. No field, no home, no wife, no woman. No friends, no love. You only destroyed, that is your love. And I will tell you what you will do now. You will go to Obregon or Carranza. And you will never change. Come on.
It's a rejection of a certain way of thinking. It's a rejection of over-facile, over-rigid, inhuman way of saying the world must change. And the world now has changed, and Stalinism is a laugh now. It's ridiculous, grotesque now.
But not then, not in 1952. In the film, if not in history, a simple idealist is betrayed and finally martyred by totalitarian leftists.
we decided that we'd show someone who behaved out of the most deeply human motives, and because of them had to create a revolution, but that the revolution was not only political but human.
Zapata opened in an inhuman political climate. Amidst anti-red hysteria, Kazan, a one-time communist, was forced to testify before the House Un-American Activities Committee. Like others with intimate knowledge of communist tactics, he had come to abhor their secrecy, duplicity, and lust for absolute power. He named former party associates, already known to the committee. Unlike the others who did so, he vigorously and publicly defended himself. In some quarters, he has never been forgiven. Kazan's great film, On the Waterfront, was to some degree shaped by this experience. It's about union, not political corruption, on mob-controlled docks. It's also about the need to bear witness against that corruption.
Hey, what do you see to get a day's pay? Give me a break, Mac. I got a couple of kids. Hey, Mac,
I'm part of the city, so to say. I'm not living in California. I'm living in New York City, and that's different. And just like the taxi strike, I was in the taxi strike and so forth. I mean, all those things were real to me because I lived in them.
But mostly, it's about a young man coming to consciousness and falling in love with the sister of a man he betrayed.
Oh, things are looking up for the doc.
You recognize a dopey? That's Joey Doyle's sister.
You give me that.
You Joey Doyle's sister?
Yes, I am.
It was a cold, goddamn winter. The cold helped the actors' faces. They looked a certain way. They were sunk in here. They didn't have this lovely flesh of success that leading men and act in Hollywood have. Their dimpled, pink, beautiful complexion. They were miserable-looking human beings, and that includes Brando. And Eva Saint was perfect.
You don't remember me, do you?
Remember you the first moment I saw you.
By the nose, huh? Well, some people just got faces that stick in your mind.
The best scenes in the movie, from my point of view, are the love scenes with Eva Saint, where he's asking her to understand him, when they're sitting in a cafe. He's great in those scenes. Why? Because he's a tough guy revealing a side to himself that you did not expect. And the side to himself that you did not expect, that exists in the audience because they recognize it, was some sort of tenderness, some sort of, people wanted to reach out for him to help him. And at the same time, he was a son of a bitch and a bad person and a betrayer.
You saw me.
What for?
Well, for not being no help to you.
You would if you could.
The film, in a way, is about redemption, about a dumb, innocent kid who's done terrible things and wants to be redeemed. And the girl redeems him. Well, it's basic, isn't it?
I want you to stay away from me.
I know what you want me to do, but I ain't gonna do it, so forget it.
I don't want you to do anything. You let your conscience tell you what to do.
Shut up about that conscience. That's all I've been hearing.
I never mentioned the word before. You just stay away from me.
Edie, you love me. I want you to
Didn't say I didn't love you. I said stay away from me.
I want you to say it to me.
Stay away from me.
When he plays those scenes with her, I'm broken up. I break up. That one person should need so much from another person in the way of tenderness and all that. Well, we all do. And something in that basic story, I think, is what stirs people, not the social, political thing so much as the human element in it.
Terry Malloy has testified against the mob and been beaten up by them. But if he can lead the rank and file back to work, they can reclaim their union from its betrayers.
My feet.
You're on your feet. I don't think I'm gonna make it.
Terry?
You can.
finish what you started.
We can't. Okay. Hook.
Look, in God's name, what are you trying to do?
Got take your hand.
Kazan and writer Bud Schulberg's enemies claimed the movie justified informing, which they stood accused of by the radical left.
I never denied it. People said that, and I said, yeah, I guess so. But it wasn't the central thing in the film for me.
Its immediate political message has faded since Brando, Kazan, Saint, and the film won Oscars in 1954. But the image of a man struggling, triumphantly as it turns out, for a redemption that is both personal and principled, has never dimmed.
All right, let's go to work!
It was a great experience for me because I was on my feet all the time in the city, and I think from that point of view, it's as close as I ever came to making a film exactly the way I want.
In East of Eden, Kazan launched a career as important in its way as Brando's. James Dean was his kind of actor, unformed, unpredictable, volatile.
The first thing you should do with an actor is not sign a contract with him or something like that. Is to take him to dinner and take him for a walk afterwards and speak to him and meet his wife or his girlfriend or whoever he just dropped or whoever he just took on. See his children. Listen to him. Find out about him. See what he is as a human being. That's your material. His experience is your material. I called him into the Warner Brother office, and he came there, and he just sat there looking rather surly and unresponsive. So then he finally said to me, do you want a ride on my bike? So I said, yeah, I'll take a ride on your bike. So I got in the back of his bike, and he went around the city in the goddamn bike, and I wish I'd never met him. But then, as I got to talking to him more and more and more, I said, this guy's it. And I called Steinbeck up. I said, I'll tell you, I found a guy that may not be a great actor, but he is it. I said, is that important? He says, if he's it, send him up. So I saw him, sent him up to John, like I sent Marlon up to Tennessee on the streetcar. I sent this guy to see John, and John said, I don't like the guy, but he's it.
A stern and conservative Raymond Massey played Dean's movie father.
Did you notice the snow on Mount Toro?
Yes, I saw
Say
it.
that means we got a good year coming in. Well, we could use it.
Hey, let's go in.
Steinbeck's novel was about generational conflict. It was one of the great issues that surfaced in the 50s, and Dean and Massey perfectly epitomized it.
Dean was impossible. He was always cutting in on his lines, saying the wrong lines. He wasn't speaking the way Massey had learned the script exactly. He'd studied it with his wife. They'd gone over it and over it, his wife and him, and his wife would read then, he'd respond, and all of a sudden this little son of a bitch comes and he's saying the line wrong. He would say to me, he's not saying the lines. I said, well, all right, I'll get him to say the lines. And then I'd let Jimmy, I was tricky, I'd let Jimmy do it the way he wanted because it irritated him.
I don't want the money, Cal. I couldn't take it. I thank you for the thought, but
I'll keep it for you. I'll wrap it up and we'll just keep it in here and then we'll...
I'll never take it. Son, if you want to give me a present, give me a good life. That's something I could value.
The boy is trying to help his father, who has suffered business losses. But the money is tainted in the old man's view, and emotional displays like this are unheard of.
Cal! Cal!
Do you think I would do anything to stop that antagonism? No, I increased it. I let it go. I let it go. I let it go because it was the central thing that I photographed. I didn't photograph them drawing those damn lines, although the lines were good, but what I photographed was their relationship to each other, the absolute hatred that Ray Massey felt for Jimmy Dean, and the hatred Jimmy Dean felt for Ray Massey. That's precious, man. You can't get that. No director can get that.
Baby doll!
1955. And another collaboration with Tennessee Williams, this time in a farcical mood.
Now you come on down here if you're going into town with me. I gotta be at the doctor's 10 minutes ago.
After so many controversial years and serious films, surely this funny movie would offer some respite from conflict.
Baby doll!
I like the way it starts with the blacks laughing at the whites. I repeat that a lot of times, and the black people that, you know, they just think the whites are ridiculous. Those whites that run the gin mill are absurd.
Carl Malden plays Archie Lee, who has married an underage girl and agreed not to sleep with her until she turns 19. It hasn't been easy for him. Carol Baker, who plays Baby Doll, was yet another Kazan discovery. Baby Doll was perhaps not quite so innocent as its creators claimed, or as it was played, for finally its subject was something dangerous, childish eroticism, and worse, it was played for laughs, very daring at the time.
Archie Lee, you're a mess. Do you know what they call such people? Peeping Toms.
It was certainly not promoted as innocent fun. Francis Cardinal Spellman of New York, who had led a campaign to censor Streetcar, denounced Baby Doll, sight unseen.
That old priest was a fool. He said, I go there and spend the Christmas with our troops in Asia, and what do I find when I come back? Baby Doll, he said. He said that in the pulpit of St. Pat's. And God almighty, how foolish can you be? There's nothing in the movie except sweetness and humor. It's the humor in it, but also the absolute helplessness of everybody in it, wrestling with problems that are impossible for them.
You know, it's only when bad luck hits you, Mr. McGarry, that you find out who your friends are, and I mean to prove it. Baby Doll, I want you to entertain this gentleman in the house. It's a good neighbor policy, tit for tat and tat for tit, as they say. You do me a good turn, and I do you a good turn sometime in the future. That's right. Come on now. Come on, baby. Come on.
I know that's you, and you're making me very nervous.
Baby Doll is something new to the movies. You might call it screwball gothic.
It's just so cute, the goddamn movie. I don't know another word for it. It's a very cute movie.
Well, you don't have to go all the way home to take a nap. You could take a nap here. I mean, it's gonna rain anyhow.
I love Carol Baker, and she's wonderful, and Carl and Eli, they're all, but Carol's especially good.
As Kazan insists, this is a movie that is all teasing and improbable implication.
Come on up and sing me to sleep.
My daddy would turn over in his grave.
It's really a send-up of typical movie sensuality.
I did have a hell of a lot of experience in the South. I walked around a lot. I bummed around a lot when I was a kid hitchhiking, and I also made a documentary, and I made another film down there, and I got to know people down there, and I got to like them. And most liberals, of which I was one at that time, I think I still am, but at that time, have some scorn about the South. They think the people down there are stupid and so on. They're not.
A Face in the Crowd proved that. It begins in a small southern town when a local radio producer makes a discovery she and everyone will live to regret.
Well, Miss Jeffries. Good morning, Marcia. Well, I think, guess what you're looking for? We always get a good haul over the 4th of July.
Good, come on, let's go. Hey, maybe I can try putting a couple of rhymes together.
Sing something dependable like Home on the Range.
I ain't gonna sing no Home on the Range. No, sir, not if it means I rot in here another month. I'm gonna sing what I'm gonna be. A free man in the morning. Gonna be a free man in the morning. Free man in the morning. Free man in the morning. Oh, know the sorry as I'll ever be.
Thank you, Lonesome Rhodes. That was just fine.
Andy Griffith, he's warm, human, funny, loving, cute, playful. Aren't those things great virtues? Come on. What do you want out of life?
Ain't nothing in this world you can't do when you let the best side of you take over.
Success is instantaneous, but folksy charm masks manic ambition.
He wants me to make sure I leave time for the commercial. You didn't know I had a sponsor, did you? Neither did I. They woke me up this morning. You good-looking, scout, lady. Yeah, I got the commercial on me somewhere. Let's see, yeah. It's Johnny Longshot's tip for the Daily Double. No, that ain't it. Lonesome Darling, you ain't forgetting your little Arkansas Annie. No, that surely ain't it. Listen. Friends, comma. Why not invest in sleep insurance, question mark. That is what you will be doing when you buy your Luffler Easy Rest mattress, period.
Lonesome Rhodes is soon a national celebrity. Lee Remick was another Kazan discovery.
She went down there and she learned how to be a baton twirler and live with that family and stayed with the family and learned it. And that is a thought out, carefully worked out, very, very true, deep performance she gives me.
Hey, Mama, Mama guitar. Hey, Mama guitar. Hey, Mama, Mama guitar. I love my mama. I love my mama. I love my mama. I love my mama. I love my mama guitar. Love my mama guitar. And I say that the winner by unanimous decision, and that's me, is little Miss Betty Lou Flecker, Miss Arkansas of 1957.
I'm so excited. I'm so...
Lonesome has more than the power to choose beauty contest winners. Now he has the power to cloud everyone's minds.
I am unable to persuade myself and to believe in the belief that flagrant squandering of American wealth at home and abroad is the road to a sound peace.
He sits in the councils of the rich and powerful.
And good evening, all.
Lights!
What set us off was the feeling of the dangers of television in making people's mind up politically. That set us off.
Instead of long-winded public debates, the people want capsule slogans. Time for a change, the mess in Washington, more bang for a buck, punchlines and glamour. Yes, Mr. Purvis, even glamour.
General Hainsworth, my papers have supported Worthington Fuller from the first day he ran for public office. He's not a grandstander, a backslapper, or a baby kisser.
That's exactly what he's got to become. A majority in this country don't see eye to eye with him. We've got to find 35 million buyers for the product we call Worthington Fuller.
I think you underestimate the respect which people are never...
Respect? Did you ever hear of anyone buying any product, beer, hair rinse, tissue, because they respect it? You gotta be loved, man. Love.
Well, I may be a bit old-fashioned, but it seems to me there is still a distinction between politics and, well, the field you're in.
Bull.
I beg your pardon, sir.
Sorry if I tread on your corns, but I said bull. Politics is people.
Then what we did was we hung around an agency, advertising agency, and we hung around Madison Avenue, and slowly we got the feeling that you got, that people were manipulating in the crudest way, with humor, whatever you want to call it, were manipulating people's thinking.
How about nickname? Only dishonest thing about Curly Fuller is the way he combs his hair.
Curly, that's rather amusing.
See? Shows you got a sense of humor about that fine head of skin you got there. No hard feelings now. We're talking television. Don't press your lips together so much. Gives you a kind of a sissy look. Keep your mouth relaxed so you can say, once in a while. Sounds sort of crazy to you, doesn't it?
No, I realize it's a new technique and I've got to face it. That's why I came.
Good. That's a boy, Curly. You just put yourself in my hands. I'll have them loving him. I mean loving it.
Whenever I get a character that's a hero, I ask what's wrong with him. And whenever I have a character that's a villain, I say, but what's the good side?
The voice of grassroots wisdom. Lonesome Roads on the Cracker Barrel.
Bud Schulberg's 1957 screenplay was powerfully prescient. At the beginning of the age of image politics, it predicted and warned against things to come.
Well, look who's stopping by to chew the fat with us around the old Cracker Barrel. Senator Worthington Fuller. Hey, howdy, Curly. How's my old bunkmate? I wish you'd give me the real cotton-picking truth about how you feel on the subject of more and more and more Social Security.
I'm glad you asked me that question, Lonesome. I'd say that people today are obsessed.
Huh?
I mean, real gone for security.
When they get power, that's what's dangerous, because their intelligence is limited, and the issues of the world are complex. So when simple-minded people, because of their charm, get power, they can be very dangerous.
This whole country's just like my flock of sheep. Sheep. Rednecks, crackers, hillbillies, housefrows, shut-ins, pea pickers. Everybody that's got to jump when somebody else blows the whistle. They're mine. I own them. They think like I do. Only they're even more stupid than I am, so I gotta think for them. Marshall, you just wait and see. I'm gonna be the power behind the president, and you'll be the power behind me.
The power of what's on the tube, and how it sways people, and how you have to watch it, and you have to not you have to listen to what they say, not go for what they look like or their humor or something like that. Listen to what they say. Think. It says think, think, think.
Kazan had been thinking about the subject of his next movie for over 20 years. Ever since he made this documentary, People of the Cumberlands, with cinematographer Ralph Steiner in 1937. It was his first movie-making experience and his first direct contact with the desperate poverty of the rural South in the Depression. He had also witnessed the beginnings of the grandest of all reclamation schemes, the Tennessee Valley Authority. He saw then that even the best of reforms exact a human toll. In 1960, he made Wild River about this conflict. It starred Montgomery Clift. The least well-known of Kazan's great movies, it faithfully reconstructs the world he had first encountered over 2 decades earlier.
I always had an idea of a TVA movie, and always with this theme, that it's the good includes the bad. There's always a cost. That's what I say to myself all the time now. There's always a cost. Don't kid yourself. No matter what happens, how right you are, there's a cost.
Clift plays a TVA official, charged with clearing people off their land so the river can be redirected and tamed by dams. He will encounter the greatest resistance from an old woman played by Jo Van Fleet, who was half the age of the character she played.
You heard me. I say I want to buy Old Blue. Now, how much you want for him?
Oh, I wouldn't want to sell Old Blue, Miss Ella.
Well, I didn't ask you if you wanted to sell him, did I? I say I'm going to buy him. I'm going to give you, I'll give you $15 for him. What's the matter? He ain't worth more than that, is he?
No. No, ma'am, he ain't worth nothing, but I ain't gonna sell him.
Well, you got to sell him, Stan, because I'm going to buy him. Now, how am I going to buy him unless you sell him?
I don't know him, but I ain't gonna sell him.
Sam Johnson, you're here selling him, and that's that.
No, I ain't gonna sell him. Old Blue is mine. And I ain't gonna sell him even to you. You ain't got no right to make me.
Well, now, that's true, isn't it, Sam? It'll come to think of it, I don't have the right, do I?
No one could have done what that woman did in Wild River. No one could have done what she did, and fantastic. She used to get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning to make up for an 8 o'clock call, and she was making up her liver spots. I've got liver spots too, and you get them when you get old. I said, Joe, what the hell are you doing, for Christ's sake? Don't take time doing that. I'm not going to photograph your hands. I'm not even getting close to you. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for myself.
We aim to tame this whole river.
You do. Well, I like things running wild, like nature meant.
One thing that was interesting in this movie is that the hero, so-called, the Washington guy, is the weakest one in it. And he's sexually incompetent, sexually trembling, and he represents, I don't know what, but he's absolutely right, so to say, to struggle to make this thing come true. At the same time, humanly, you realize that he's a weakling.
I'd be a good wife for you. Damn good wife. I'm smarter than you in some ways, and I know what's good about you, and I know what's bad, and I'm not afraid to tell you. I have 2 children who love you. They love you, and I love you. And you're not easy to love, but you do need someone.
There's a scene where he had to make love to Lee Remick, and I had to turn the whole scene around so that she was the aggressor, and so on. And he was a dutiful kid, Monty, but he was still, some way or other, a cripple. Some way, some subtle way, he wasn't entirely healthy. And he also drank. And I said to him at the beginning, I said, Monty, I don't want you to take one drink during this, or else I can't work with you. I can't stand drunken actors.
Clift stayed sober, but ironically had to play a drunk scene.
We want to talk to you as one human being to another.
Walter?
Yes, ma'am?
Better take this lunatic home.
I'll take him home in just a minute. But first, there's something I want to say. I understand you, Mrs. Garr. I know exactly what you're fighting for. It's your dignity. I know. I'm right? It's your everlasting, ever-loving dignity. It's your dignity. That's it. It's your dignity.
He looks smaller than I thought.
And he was a good person. He was just had difficulties as a human being. And Lee Remick and Joe Van Fleet supported him. And they liked him. They supported him. They kept the thing going for his sake.
In the end, the implacable logic of power, no matter who represents it, must defeat the desires of the heart.
Go ahead.
Okay, Jerry, go ahead.
This is the theme of more than one Kazan movie. Bill Inge's Splendor in the Grass is about another kind of force, the force of repression.
You mustn't, Bud. No. No.
And I think both those characters are wonderful. And I think he examines a piece of American life. I don't think he's a great genius, but he's a fine writer.
Natalie Wood played opposite another Kazan discovery, Warren Beatty.
Mrs. Loomis, are you here?
Stop it.
You're nuts about me, aren't you?
It's set in the 1920s, a remembrance of love lost, unable to survive small-town disapproval, other people's agendas.
We're all still in love with somebody, and we're glad we're not in love with them anymore, but still it means something. We're all full of memories and desires that unfulfilled, aren't we? And Bill, above all.
Lay it on me. Come on, lay it on me. Lay it on me. Have it. Have it on. Lay it down. Lay it on now. I swear he's got lick like a bear on him. We got a future, boy. Yeah. You and me, we got a future. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to get you an education. The best. 4 years at Yale. Oh, did I tell you a secret, bud? I'll tell you a secret, son. What's it? Come here. My company is going to merge with one of those big Eastern companies. I'm going to put you in there. Well, I'm going to put you in there, boy. I'm going to put you in there. I'm lining up a future for you, boy. I've been thinking about something. There is nothing in this world that I wouldn't do for you, boy. I know that. There's nothing I wouldn't do if you do right. If you do right, bud. Now, don't disappoint me, son. Don't disappoint me, boy.
I think Bill Inge's writing of the father, Warren Beatty's father, and that thing is brilliant. And nobody ever says anything about Bill Inge. And I think the writing of the mother in it, of Natalie's mother, is brilliant. I think he really is a wonderful writer.
Had anything serious happened? Did he spoil you?
Spoil? Did he spoil me? No! No, Mom! I'm not spoiled! I'm not spoiled, Mom! I'm just as fresh and I'm virginal like the day I was born, Mom! Stop it! Stop it! I'm a lovely virginal creature. One thing to be spoiled, darling. Stop it, please, girl. Down. A good little girl. I've always done everything Daddy and Mommy told me. I've obeyed everything. I hate you.
Bill was a man that was always on the verge of suicide. And he didn't know where he stood with men or where he stood with women. And or where he wanted to, what he wanted to be. And he was a great hit, and then he suddenly dropped. All the critics were making fun of him. I was very proud of my friendship with Bill Inge. I looked after him a lot and helped him a lot. And so on. I put that screenplay together from a novel that he wrote, and then he worked over it and made it good. And I particularly love the last reel. I think the last reel, when she goes out to visit him with her white hat on, and he's married to a rather plain but honest girl, and they both remember.
You know, I didn't even finish my first year in school there.
She's real nice.
Well, she was wonderful to me when things started to go wrong.
You're happy, Bud.
I guess so. I don't ask myself that question very often, though.
We all have memories of what we might have had or might have known and didn't know and didn't have, don't you?
Memories of another kind animate America, America. It recalls the history of Kazan's family, members of an oppressed minority in Turkey early in this century.
America, America is my favorite film. No, I don't mean it's the best film. I don't think it's my best film, but it's my favorite film. It's about my uncle. And it's about, it's full of the legends. I used to sleep in bed with my grandmother when I was a boy at 4, 5, 6. And she used to tell me stories.
At the heart of these stories was an ideal, freedom, and the place that embodied that ideal, America.
You say that in America they have mountains bigger than this one?
In America, everything's bigger.
What else? What else in America?
What are we waiting for? Come on, you. Let's go, you. Let's go with the help of Jesus.
I made up my mind to do a film about my family coming here 30 years before I made it. And it was on my mind all the time. I've got notes from way, 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 way back. I throw them all away, but I throw notes from way, way, way back, saying this, that. I write things down. I remember things.
Scenes like this were forever burned into everyone's spirit.
You go back in there and tell them to come out to me and beg for mercy.
When the Turks decide to burn an Eastern Orthodox church, with its congregation trapped inside, it will encourage a family patriarch to come at last to a fateful decision.
What did he say, Father?
Our family is going to leave this place, and you will go first. You will take with you everything this family has of worth.
Finally, I wrote the screenplay, and I couldn't get anybody to put the money for it, which happens more often than I care to remember with films. I couldn't get anybody to put the dough up for the goddamn thing. So finally, a couple of guys did, and we got to Constantinople with a crew, Istanbul, and then the guy pulled out, and we were in Istanbul without a quarter. We were in a bar drinking, we didn't have money to pay the bill, and a guy named Ben Kalmanson of Warner Brothers came to our rescue, and he took the film on terms that were good for him, so I never made a quarter out of the film. But I don't care about anything except that I finally made it. I had a very good cameraman, and he's the only cameraman I've ever been on bad terms with. I would never use him again, but he's a damn good cameraman, Hassel Wexler. But all that contributed to it.
The struggle to make the movie mirrored the boy's struggle to reach the promised land. By the time he reached Constantinople, all the family's wealth had been stolen from him. Alone and penniless, he resolves to take any work he can find, no matter how menial, to try to restore the family's fortune and its hopes. In his search for authenticity, Kazan always loved casting non-professional actors. Here he took a huge risk and added to his own difficulties by giving the lead to Stathis Gialelis.
The leading man had never acted at all. He was sweeping the floor in a producer's office when I found him. He didn't even want to be an actor. He wanted to work as an assistant to a producer or something, errand boy, gopher. And so I took him, I brought him to America, and I said, I'm going to try to teach you English. So I gave him a girl to teach him English, and he found a girlfriend who was American, and they spoke English and spoke English, all to no result. His English was terrible at the end. Went ahead with the goddamn thing anyway.
America, you!
Don't take it, don't take it.
Come on!
It's just the look on his face. And the first thing that attracted me to him was his father was killed by the rightists. His father was a leftist who was killed in the belly, ripped up by the rightists. He bled to death, and the boy held him in his arms while the father bled to death. And I always thought that must have left a mark on the boy of a determination. It did, until he faced the problem of learning English. Persistence. I believe in persistence a lot, and just if your screenplay isn't right, have another go at it. So I believe in that a lot, and I don't think there's a song to persistence that can beat that one, beat that film.
It is a song to the survivor's instinct, too. And that is something Kazan has always believed in. It is, after all, the most basic of human necessities.
You, what's your name?
Warnes Kardashian.
Want to be an American? Well, the first thing to do is to change that name. You want an American name, boy? Warnes, that's all you need here. Warnes. Here. Can you read?
Joe Arnett.
You like it?
Joe Arnett. Joe Arnett. Good, good.
Well, Joe, you're reborn. You're baptized again and without benefit of clergy. Next.
Hey, you there! Keep moving now, you're blocking traffic. Come on now, you
Yes, you move it along. Let's go.
I don't think there's another film where the so-called central figure is less a hero than the figure in that film. He's anything but a hero. He's a guy that the last thing you see him do is give me a $10 tip. You see him reach out to somebody. He's a small-time operator. But he made it. He got here.
Kazan. Here you go, Joe.
Y tus trailers, visita mi canal.
Next! Come on, you. Let's go, you. People waiting. People waiting. Come on, you. Let's go, you. People waiting. People waiting.
Kazan made only 3 movies after this. Hollywood lost interest in his kind of filmmaking, but he refused to play its waiting game. He became a writer. He's published 7 novels and an autobiography.
I also was sympathetic with people that were struggling to get up because I struggled to get up. And I struggled all my life. I'm still struggling, I guess.
His struggle was to redefine the nature of realism in the movies. He offered in his films a vision of ordinary life, ordinary lives that was extraordinary. In his effort to show outward behavior more accurately, hidden feelings more acutely, he expanded the range of the movies and the range available to actors in them. And he took us to places we had not been or had tried to avoid. He allowed us to see things and feel things that we had not experienced before in the movies.